She was only 14 years old. A quiet, thoughtful girl with a deep love for animals and a dream of one day becoming a veterinarian. She lived in New Sweden, Maine, a small, close-knit town where everyone knows each other, and things like this just don't happen. But on September 23rd, 2024, Stefanie Damron walked out of her home after a simple argument with her sister and vanished without a trace. No one saw her leave. No one saw where she went. And no one, not even after months of searching, has been able to say what happened to her. This is the story of a teenager who stepped into the woods on an ordinary day and never came back. A story with no answers, no suspects, and no closure. This is the disappearance of Stefanie Damron. That afternoon started like many others. It was a calm day in New Sweden, population just under 600. Stefanie lived with her family in a modest home surrounded by nature, trees, and long stretches of backcountry roads. Around 4 p.m., she had a disagreement with her older sister. It wasn't violent. It wasn't explosive. Just the kind of argument that happens in families every day. Stefanie, in an effort to cool off, decided to go for a walk, something she often did when she wanted time to herself. She left wearing blue jeans, a long-sleeved blue shirt, and black Harley-Davidson hiking boots. She didn't take a backpack, didn't carry a phone, and didn't say exactly where she was going. But she did say one thing, that she'd be back soon. She walked into the nearby wooded area off West Road, an area she knew well. It was the kind of place Stefanie explored often. The trees were tall, the paths were rugged but familiar. There was no reason to think she wouldn't return. The family expected her back in an hour. But when night fell and there was still no sign of Stefanie, that feeling of mild concern quickly turned to fear. Her parents began calling neighbors. They drove up and down the road. They checked local parks. Nothing. And by the next morning, when she still hadn't returned, they contacted the police. The Maine State Police launched a search within hours. It wasn't long before the FBI got involved as well. Stefanie was a minor. The circumstances were unusual, and she had completely vanished. Local residents joined in the search. Dozens of volunteers, many of whom knew the Damron family personally, combed the woods where Stefanie was last seen. Drones scanned from the skies. Search dogs tried to follow her scent. They searched streams, trails, abandoned cabins, even nearby wells. And yet, nothing. No footprints. No torn clothing. No dropped belongings. No signs of a struggle. It was as if Stefanie had simply walked into the forest and dissolved into thin air. As the days passed, rumors began to spread. Some believed she had simply gotten lost, that she may have taken a wrong turn, wandered deeper into the forest, and succumbed to the elements. Others were convinced something far more sinister had happened, that someone had taken her. The town, once peaceful and secure, became tense and suspicious. Parents began keeping their children indoors. Doors were locked that never had been before. A quiet town was now on edge. Investigators began canvassing the region. They spoke with friends, classmates, family members, and neighbors. No one had seen Stefanie that day. No one had heard anything strange. There were no surveillance cameras on the remote back roads to trace her steps. And Stefanie had no known enemies. She was 14. She had no history of running away. She was close to her family. There was nothing in her life, at least nothing publicly known, to suggest she would disappear voluntarily. By mid-October, the search area had expanded significantly. Investigators now believed that if she had gotten lost, she would have been found by now. The forest, while vast, had been covered by search crews and drones multiple times. The possibility of foul play could no longer be ignored. In December 2024, the FBI raised the stakes. They offered a $15,000 reward for information leading to Stefanie's recovery or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance. That same month, she was officially added to the FBI's most wanted kidnappings and missing persons list. Her face was now being shared not just across Maine, but across the country. The FBI also launched a public campaign, asking anyone who had been in New Sweden on the day of Stefanie's disappearance to come forward. Truck drivers, hunters, tourists, anyone who may have passed through the area, anyone who may have noticed a vehicle pulled off the road, a strange person walking the shoulder, or any unusual behavior in the woods. The Damron family, in the meantime, was doing everything they could to keep Stefanie's name alive. They spoke at vigils. They gave media interviews. Friends and volunteers launched a website, teamstefanie.org, to track updates, provide resources, and share flyers. A Facebook group gained traction. Messages of support came in from across the country, but time was slipping away, and leads were drying up. By early 2025, there were still no solid answers. Police had not identified any suspects. No physical evidence had surfaced. The forest had given up nothing, and the public, now deeply invested in Stefanie's case, was left to wonder, how can a 14-year-old girl just vanish from a town where everyone knows everyone? There are a few theories that continue to circulate. The first is that Stefanie got lost, that she wandered farther than she realized, became disoriented, and died from exposure. But this theory has a major flaw. No remains, no trace, no indication of collapse site have ever been found. If she had succumbed to the elements, something, anything, should have been discovered by now. The second theory is that Stefanie was abducted. Perhaps someone was driving along those isolated roads. Perhaps they saw her walking alone. Maybe it was someone she didn't know. Or worse, someone she did. Maybe she accepted a ride from someone she trusted. That would explain the lack of signs in the woods. But again, no witnesses, no cameras, no clues. The third and darkest theory is that Stefanie's disappearance was planned, not by her, but by someone else. Someone who knew her routine. Someone who waited for the right moment. Someone who knew how to avoid detection. But without evidence, these remain just that, theories. As of today, Stefanie Damron is still missing. She would now be 15 years old. Her family still lives in New Sweden. They still leave the porch light on every night. They still hope that one day there will be a knock at the door, a phone call, a tip that leads to the truth. And so do we. If you know anything about Stefanie Damron's disappearance, anything, no matter how small, please call Maine State Police or the FBI. You can remain anonymous. One piece of information could solve this case. Stefanie deserves to be found. Her family deserves peace. And New Sweden, Maine, a town once defined by peace and quiet, deserves answers. This is Mind of the Missing. Thank you for listening. Please like, comment, and share this video to help keep Stefanie's story alive. Subscribe to our channel to follow more unsolved cases. And together, let's be the voice for those who can no longer speak. Because the missing are not forgotten. Not here. Not ever.